He's just so cute and cuddly.
Don't you know who I am?
It's the Freedom Otters.
It's the Rumble Takeover.
a well-regulated militia being necessary for the security of a free state, the right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. Broadcasting from the Ottoman Empire with 50,000 gigawatts of power, this is the Freedom Otter Show.
Happy Wednesday. Oh, yes. Hump Day. Tomorrow is Frog Day. No, today's Frog Day. That's what it is. It's Wednesday, my dudes. How's it going? Freedom Otter here, your favorite water sausage. Thanks for joining me on the show. Hey, don't forget to like the show. Give it that thumbs up. And make sure you share it. Let other people know that you watch the Freedom Otter Show. And maybe even just follow the channel, even subscribe. $5 a month. Hey, it's not too much, right? Make sure you check out the show notes. Got the link to the Discord down there. You can join our 2A community. Hey, and leave me a comment. Let me know what you think about the show. Good, bad, indifferent. You think I'm a jerk? You took my lunch money in school and you just want to apologize? I mean, whatever. And also, don't forget, I got a merch store. You can go over and check it out, ottomanempire.creator-spring.com. You can also scan the little QR code if you're watching on your smart TV. I got T-shirts, got stickers and all that. Samay from the Southern Millennial Mom Podcast, she got a sticker. Looks good. I'm going to repost it in a little bit. So go check it out, ottomanempire.creator-spring.com. All kinds of good stuff there for giving for a gift. Or if you just want to look really, really snappy, you know? So what's going on tonight? How's things happening here? You doing good? Yeah. I'm doing a lot better now. I'm doing much, much better now. Had a problem. So Monday night, I don't know what happened. I don't know, something I ate or something. It came out both ends. Let's just put it that way. I'll leave all other imagery out of it, but that's basically what happened. So that's where we were at on Monday. I do apologize about that. It was very last minute. I tried to fight it, but I thought I could soldier on, but yeah, it just wasn't. And the wife was looking at me like, "You really?" I'm like, "Yeah, I get it." So apologies about that, but I did start feeling a little bit better on Tuesday, which was nice. By Tuesday, midday, about around 2:00 or so, I was starting to feel a lot better. And I had the itch. I had the itch because I didn't stream on Friday because I went to the opening night for the local ball game, local ball team. And they lost, by the way. They did rally in the 9th inning, but they lost. They still lost, which kind of sucks. But yeah, so I didn't stream on Friday. Saturday and Sunday were chock full of just getting stuff done, getting the ACs in the window rattler units, getting those in, and a whole bunch of other stuff around the house. I even had to dig out about 20 to 25 cubic feet of my yard so I could basically let the wife put the pool up, because last year it was on a slant. It was just terrible. But busy weekend, and then Monday I got sick. That could also did something too, because I felt like I pulled my stomach muscles. But you know what? That's all here and there and everywhere else. So, but how are you doing? That's the real question. If you're in the chat, let me know. You're watching on a smart TV. Maybe pick up your phone, go to the webpage for the stream here, and just throw something in the chat. Say hi or whatever. Maybe let me know how you usually watch the show. That'd be wonderful to have an idea. And don't forget, I did do a game stream last night. You can check that out over at Ottoman Gaming Empire. I was working on the Linux box, the Linux gaming box, so you can go check that out. And I did an afternoon walk today too, reminding you, don't forget about the Creator House, the Rumble Creator House coming up this weekend. Friend of the show, Pudge, is going to be there. Lumpy Potato's going to be there. I believe Cat Dog's going to be there. Peppa Killer's going to be there. I'm not sure who. I can't remember who all else is going to be there, but they're going to be there in Florida at the Creator House, making some great content. and they got some stuff planned for us. I guess they must have been planning something. But yeah, make sure we check it out this weekend, Friday and Saturday, so we can support them and support Rumble, this great platform that has given us, these tools that we can use, to get our voices heard. Not only that, but give us an opportunity to create a brand and do the kind of stuff. I love doing this kind of stuff. I've been doing radio for 30 years. 30 years I've been in broadcast radio, and I can honestly say I have a lot of fun doing this. This is always a lot of fun. Of course, also dragging the commie mommies and the gun grabbies online is also fun too. But yeah, that's neither here nor there. But let's get right into it here. Kathy Hochul. Oh, Kathy. Deluding yourself by ignoring the rest of the nation. Now, these are stories that I was going to cover back on Monday, but they still hold up. We should talk about it because I live in New York, and Kathy Hochul is just, a grade A asshole. A couple of years ago, the state of New York got spanked by the Supreme Court. It was the best day. I was getting ready to go on vacation. My last summer, the before the summer vacation with my family. It was great. And I remember that day I'm sitting here in my studio and I'm watching the news come out, and I'm watching all the YouTube gun channels, watching the news. Oh boy, it was great. They spanked them hard. The requirement that those seeking a concealed carry permit show good reason why they needed one was determined to be unconstitutional. While they passed legislation that severely limited where people could carry, the truth was that a lot of people could get permits that might not have had them before. Fast forward to now. These days, the violent crime rate is dropping across the nation and has been for the last several years. And that's after the Bruin decision, of course. But it seems that Hochul is claiming credit for New York's drop in homicides. Governor Kathy Hochul said Thursday that the state is turning the tide in the fight against gun violence. The governor pointed to a 2-year drop in incidences of gun violence, including a 37% reduction in shooting incidences in the state, through the first 4 months of 2024, compared to a 5-year average. Hochul also said that New York State police have seized illegal firearms at a record pace so far this year. Statistics compiled by the State Department of Criminal Justice Services showed that shooting incidences with injury and the number of shooting victims have each decreased by more than 35% through April, compared to the January to April average over the last 5 years in the major metropolitan areas outside of New York City. Hochul hailed the significant drop in gun violence statistics. We enacted the toughest gun safety measures in the country, and now we're seeing results. Historic lows in gun violence across New York, Hochul said. Public safety is my number one priority, and I will continue fighting to create meaningful results and keep New Yorkers safe. So let's rewind that for a second, Kathy. Let's sit, Kathy, maybe have a seat. Okay, grab a frosty adult beverage. We're gonna talk some things here. Number one, crime has been on the downslide for the last few years anyway. There was that spike around 2020. That was because of the pandemic. Everybody was stuck home. But that was preceded by a lull because everybody stayed at home. After that, people got kind of stir crazy, and boom, there you go. The BLM riots, the summer of love. A little bit of that actually happened down here in Albany there. 10 minutes from my front door. I was literally watching it on Facebook while I was on my radio on the local repeater talking to a bunch of guys. We're all going, hey, did you see this? Hang on, did you see this? Let me send you this link. To watch live streams of some of these idiots actually live streaming this stuff on Facebook. It was crazy. It was crazy. But that's number one. Crime's been going down. Number two, more people have been becoming firearm owners. More people are buying guns. We've seen the numbers that keep going up and up and up. More guns. So what? That doesn't factor into it? Or is it just something you conveniently forgot to mention? I'm guessing forgot to mention. But then again, she always says she never needed a data point, especially when a reporter from Channel 6, WRGB in Schenectady, after they passed the CCIA, or were getting ready to, I can't remember when, asked her, well, what about the fact that concealed carry holders are some of the most law-abiding people that, that don't commit crimes? The statistics show it. And she said, I don't need a data point to tell me that I have the right to protect New Yorkers. What she needs is, she needs a mental intervention. Somebody needs to intervene here, help her out. That's what she needs. So you've got crime going down. You've got firearm purchases going up. And this is across the country. This is not just in New York State. This is across the country. And we've got more people that have gotten their concealed carry permits in New York State than ever before, because the state can't say no anymore. So what's the deal, Kathy? Yeah, you can tell people they can't carry in certain places. I guarantee you they're going to be like criminals. They're going to ignore the gun-free zone signs in most cases because they know it's BS. So what else you got left, Kathy? Not much. There's really not much else. They say they've seized more illegal firearms. Oh, you mean like Dexter Taylor? I mean, the guy that had no prior run-ins with the law was doing something that was perfectly legal by federal law. Yet New York, for whatever reason, says, no, you can't build a firearm. There is no Second Amendment in New York State. Remember that? Remember that, Judge, from Dexter's trial? Yeah, that's going to end up being appealed. I can't wait to see that one. I want to see that judge smacked. So Kathy's basically taking all the credit for stuff that's been going on before she was even governor, before she even got the job, before El Duce, Andy Cuomo, Chris Cuomo's brother. Yeah, I don't like that Goomba either. He's a stunada. Stunada. That's Italian for stupid. He's stunada. So, that's both of them, both the Cuomo boys. I don't trust either one of them. Andy's trying to get back into politics. Somebody freaking smack him with a newspaper upside the head. But even back when Andy was, doing inappropriate things with single women, which is how he got yeeted out of office, all that stuff was still going on. People were still buying firearms. Numbers going up. Crime going down. Yep, she's taking all the credit. Typical Democrat, right? Am I right? Yeah. What is it they say? Rahm Emanuel said, never let a crisis go to waste. Well, now this is just the opposite. Always take credit for stuff you didn't do. That's good. Take credit for all the good stuff you didn't do. Pretty much it. Tom goes on to say, they might have a deeper drop in New York just this particular year compared to elsewhere. And for the record, we don't know that New York is actually unique in this regard either. But the idea that tough gun control laws are responsible is beyond ridiculous. And let's understand that I use the word might there because, as noted, I'm skeptical that it's particularly unique. After all, we know that a number of places saw similar percentage drops in violent crime after their states passed constitutional carry. Ohio being one of them. Florida being another. They released stats. Bowling Green University did a study with the AG's office in Ohio. 6 of the 8 major cities in Ohio saw drops. Florida, their one year numbers drop. So can't wait to see more numbers come out. Now, can you honestly and scientifically say constitutional carry stops crime like that? No, you can't. There's not. I don't think there's enough data to specifically say that, but you can say that it looks pretty good that it's not causing more crime. Yeah, you could say that pretty safely. In short, the reduction of homicides is nationwide, and Houchul has absolutely nothing to do with it. But Houchul doesn't want people to understand that. She's hoping that New Yorkers will look at the drop, look at the law's passage, despite this drop happening after Bruin ended, may issue laws, mind you, and never bothered to look any further. And to be fair, with the media unwilling to challenge her or even include a real effort at rebuttal, they'll probably swallow it hook, line, and sinker. Sounds like the Times-Union here in Albany. Or the Daily Gazette. The Daily Gazette's getting kind of bad too, but the Times-Union's even worse. They really are. But what do you think about this? What do you think about Houchul just kind of ignoring everything and then just taking credit for stuff that's already been going on? Let me know. Let me know in the comments here on Rumble. If you're watching on YouTube, let me know there as well. I'd love to know what's going on. What you're thinking. Let me know. Next story here, still here in the Empire State. New York Times still bitterly clinging to more guns, more crime theory, even as homicides plunge. Going down. Although it's become a topic of political debate, what hasn't these days, that's true, about whether or not we could trust the accuracy of FBI crime stats, violent crime does appear to be trending down in most U.S. cities and is substantially lower than it was in 2021 and 2021. So I think Cam had a brain fart there. I'm going to guess he's going to say 2021 and 2022. The COVID-19 pandemic forced the closure of criminal courts for months on end, while many police departments pulled back on making arrests for minor crimes, even before a host of Democrat-controlled cities trying to defund the police after the death of George Floyd and the riots and unrest that ensued, which in turn helped to drive up violent crime to rates not seen in decades. Gun control activists and their allies in the media and politics have also pointed to a surge in gun sales in 2020 as a primary driver of the increase in violent crime. But there's one big problem with their theory that more guns equate to more crime. With more than 1 million guns sold each month, we have tens of millions more firearms than we did just a couple of years ago. But now crime rates are generally falling across the country. More guns, less crime, in other words. That's not the way the New York Times sees it, however. In a new piece, the paper takes a look at Columbus, Ohio, and claims a striking spread in fatal shootings, both nationwide and the city, has taken place since 2020, a period in which Americans have purchased more guns. The Supreme Court has made them harder to regulate, and many states, including Ohio, have loosened restriction on firearms. What's odd about the reporting from the Times is that it does acknowledge things are getting better, even as it promotes the idea that things are getting worse. So they're basically trying to play, they're basically burning the candle at both ends, for lack of a better metaphor. They're sleight of hand. Yeah, the left hand's telling you, everything's getting worse, but, the right hand also says, things are getting way better, but don't pay attention to the right hand. Just be afraid. Just listen to what we say and be afraid. We'll tell you. Because, corporate media is mother. Corporate media is father. Yeah. That's basically their thing. They just want you to be scared. But you don't have to be, because the truth is they're lying. Even though the tide of shootings and killings that washed across the country with the pandemic began to ebb last year, the improvement was uneven. Uneven. Columbus closed out 2023 with more homicides than the year before, as did Dallas, Topeka, Kansas, Memphis, and Washington. There is optimism that 2024 is going to be better in Columbus, which has seen homicide numbers fall dramatically so far this year, with 36 as of last week compared to 70 in the same period the year before. Gun violence nationwide is still higher, than it was before the pandemic. The number of fatal shootings in the first quarter of 2024 was 13% higher than it was in the same period in 2019, according to the Gun Violence Archive. Yeah, we know how GVA is so on the ball with that stuff too, right? But they literally do it right here. They literally say it right here. Now, homicide numbers fall dramatically so far this year, with 36 as of last week compared to the 70 in the same period the year before. Gun violence nationwide is still higher than it was before the pandemic because it skyrocketed, but it's been coming down. And I'm willing to bet we've probably, we're probably getting to the point where it's going to go down even lower than what it was pre-pandemic, because that's been the national trend. Even before the pandemic, that's what the trend was. I'm tired of calling it the pandemic. Let's just call it the scamdemic. We know what was going on. Was it higher than the same period in 2023? I'm sure the Times would have informed us if that was the case, but instead of looking at last year's rate, it points to the number of shootings 5 years ago, before the pandemic upended our social cohesion and criminal justice system. If the paper wants to make the case that we have yet to return to pre-pandemic levels of crime, fine. But if it's going to blame the availability of guns, then it should also explain why we have more guns today than in 2023, but crime rates, including homicides, are dropping. According to crime analyst Jeff Asher's year-to-date murder comparison, Columbus's homicide rate so far this year is half what it was in 2023. That alone should tell the Times that its readers that gun availability can't account for crime trends. Homicides are down 30% in Cleveland, unchanged in Cincinnati, and up 16% in Toledo. It's the Toledo Mudhens, I'm telling you right now. According to the latest figures from police departments in those cities, which is also a good reminder that crime, generally speaking, is a local phenomenon. There's a legitimate story here, but it's not the one the Times is reporting. Of course not. Goes on to say the sharp decline in homicides this year is an encouraging sign, but officials say they are up against a tidal wave of guns. In 2020, there were 11.3 million guns manufactured in the United States for domestic consumption, more than twice the number produced in 2010, according to the ATF. There are also signs that more guns are vanishing from the legal market. Between 2017 and 2021, the percentage of guns recovered from crimes that had been purchased within the previous year steadily increased, according to ATF data. A short time to crime can indicate an illegal straw purchase intended to evade background checks, minimum age laws, and other safeguards. Oh, wait. Aren't straw purchases illegal already? We should do something about that. Pass another law that makes it even more illegal. Really? Seriously? That's usually their answer. Again, the tidal wave of guns is coinciding with the sharp decline in homicides, just as it coincided with a sharp increase in homicides in 2021. Correlation is not causation, and that's especially clear in this case, where the number of guns in circulation has steadily increased while crime rates have gone up and down during the same time. The paper is far more interested in what was happening in Columbus 3 years ago, or even last year, than what's actually taking place today. The 51.6% decrease in murders this year gets the merest of mentions before the reporter turns to data that's now 3 to 7 years old, hoping to make their more guns, more crime argument stick. Yeah, it doesn't. Those slimy things that you could get out of the vending machines, the 50 cent or quarter vending machines, come in the little bubble things, a little bubble. You take them and you can throw them against the wall and they stick. Remember how they didn't last very long because they get dust and dirt and everything else on them and they wouldn't stick anymore and they look icky, gross? Yeah, that's what they're doing there. Yeah. For that matter, why did the Times focus on Columbus and not say Oklahoma City? Did it go looking for a city that would help advance its narrative? Yes. Ignoring other cities and pro-gun states that have seen homicides return to pre-pandemic levels? In 2019, Oklahoma City reported 88 murders. In 2023, that figure dropped to 67, not including fentanyl-related deaths charged as homicides. Even if you want to include those figures, which were counted as murders for the first time last year, the city had 75 homicides in 2023, a substantial decrease from the last year before the pandemic. Like Ohio, Oklahoma is a constitutional carry state with a firearms preemption law in place, barring localities from establishing their own gun control regimes. Like Columbus, Oklahoma City is the state capital and the most populous city in the state. So why didn't the Times shine a spotlight on Oklahoma City, where the murder rate continues to fall, down 15.2% compared to this point in 2023, according to Oklahoma City Police? As I stroke my chin, thinking hard about that question. Oh, yeah, because it would have destroyed their narrative and screwed them up. Okay, moving on. My guess is that this isn't the story the New York Times wants to sell. It wants its readers to believe that when Republicans are in charge, crime becomes out of control, which in turn is why they should vote for Joe Biden this November. I would vote for Joe Biden. I just think of the most cruelest thing you can think of, and that's why that even won't get me to vote for Biden. The sharp decrease in murders in Columbus can be brushed aside in favor of talking about the equally sharp increase a couple of years ago, but taking a look at numbers in Oklahoma City would completely shred its argument. Do you think the Times is eager to report that homicides have steadily declined since 2019, even with the passage of multiple pro-gun laws like constitutional carry? No, they're not going to say a thing. They're not going to use anything like that. Their whole point is that those quote-unquote wonky statistics, remember that phrase? Wonky statistics are just eating them up. They can't compete on the statistics. They can never compete on the statistics. That's why they always go with the emotional argument. That's all they can do. All they can do is try to make you fee into giving up your rights. They can't force you. The statistics do not help their narrative at all. So what are they going to do? Nothing. They can't do anything. So you can expect a steady stream of these kinds of anti-2A stories between now and November. Bearing Arms will do their best to fact check every last one of them, but we can use your help. If you see a news story that needs to be called out, just send an email and they'll check it out. Was this Cam or Tom? This one was, who was it? Cam. This was Cam. Oh, by the way, I always have to thank Cam. Thank you, Cam, for allowing me to steal your opening monologue for my show. Well, I didn't steal it. I just took it like a meme. So, but at least I liked it. I mean, I've been watching your show for a while on Bearing Arms and even on NRA TV before that. So, but what do you think about that? The New York Times spinning tall tales about more guns, more crime. Say it isn't so, America. Yeah, it is so. The New York Times is just that legacy media. They're basically fishing. They're fishing for the eyeballs. Eyeballs mean money from ad revenue. The more eyeballs they get, the more ad revenue they get. That's all they're trying to do. And if it pushes the narrative of the side that they like, fine. But I guarantee you, if any one of these people at the New York Times was ever in a situation where they needed a gun, they would want one. But they'll never tell you about it later on, because then that would mean they would have to admit they were wrong. And we can't have that, because they have to be the ones that are always right. Always. So for them, I hope they never have to go through it. I know there are many people out there that have, which is sad and very unfortunate. And I'm glad they're still with us. Then there's those that didn't make it. Needless to say, the New York Times is just basically, they're just propaganda. Lack of a better word, they're just propaganda. And that's all. Speaking of propaganda, I'd like to take this time to have you go and visit my website, ottomanempire.creator-spring.com. That's my merch store. Go ahead and check it out. Got t-shirts, got stickers, got mugs, coffee mugs. We've got bags. We've got hoodies. We got tank tops. We got all kinds of good stuff over there. And all that's helping to support this channel as well as the gaming channel. The money from the profits of those sales goes towards subscriptions like to Bearing Arms to get, the VIP stuff or any other website. Also goes into new hardware to help build up the stream and add value and quality to it. Not to mention helping to build the new studio that I want to build, which will basically allow me to do even more work. Because if you haven't heard before, my ultimate dream, I don't know, you might have to be a little bit older to remember. Do you remember NRA TV? Do you remember that? Back when Cam Edwards was on there, Dana Loesch was on there, streaming 24/7. And I loved it. I literally would watch it on my laptop at home. Every night. I would always check out Cam's show. Cam had the best show. I loved his show. But that's what I want to do. Otterman Empire.creator-spring.com is helping me do that. And you can help do that as well. So take a look at the store. See if there's something you like. If you do, by all means, go ahead, purchase it. We got, they're great for gifts, great for yourself or whoever. Go check it out. OttermanEmpire.creator-spring.com. Speaking of the NRA and NRA TV, so the membership meeting was just this past weekend. And, we had some reformers running. And after I used to be an NRA member. Way back in the day, I used to be an NRA member. But I stopped being a member. And I'm kind of glad I did stop being a member. Mostly because of you just kept asking, where the hell is the NRA on all these? This was all before Bruin, and even in some cases before Heller. They just weren't around really. But now we've got some people. We got Wayne out, and we've got some of those other people out. Hopefully, they can turn things around. I'm not going to say never again, but I am going to say I'm going to watch. I'm going to watch. Inside the fight to reform the NRA, well, let's talk about this. After a marathon 12-hour board meeting on Monday that saw reformers win key leadership positions, NRA board members Amanda Sofakul and Jim Wallace are giving the Bearing Arms Cam and Company community an inside look at last weekend's annual meeting, the fight to reform the organization, and both the challenges and opportunities ahead for the NRA as it seeks to regain the trust of members and two-way supporters. It's a lot of work. Let me know in the comments below, or if you're watching in the chat, let me know what you think. What do you think about the NRA and its chances to be able to win back members? Were you an NRA member and you left? What will get you to come back to the NRA if you haven't already? I don't know. Maybe you did for whatever reason. Maybe you liked what you saw at the meetings. Who knows? Let me know in the comments down below, or if you're watching and you can get into the chat on Rumble, let me know there as well. Both board members say they're gratified by the support shown from NRA members throughout the weekend, including at Saturday's member meeting, where a majority of those in attendance voted down a resolution supporting a potential move of NRA headquarters from Fairfax, Virginia to Dallas, Texas. Sofakul was among those speaking out in opposition to the resolution and tells Bearing Arms there simply wasn't enough information given to members, or board members for that matter, to make an informed decision. I'm an analytical person. I have spent my entire career as an engineer in operations, moving plants, consolidating plants, picking up companies that were in trouble. So I want to see data to make the best decisions. You have then NRA President Charles Cotton, or Interim Executive Vice President Andrew Arlundum. I'm probably mangling it. I'm sorry, Andrew. Neither of them could provide a bottom line cost for the NRA to move its operations to the Lone Star State, though both claimed the move would save the organization's tens of millions of dollars. Sofakul says she's open to the idea that it might make sense to sell the NRA's current building and relocate once she learns more details, but she's not convinced that Texas should automatically be the organization's next destination. Saturday's meeting of NRA members, as well as Wallace's election as the 76th board member, signaled that reformers are significant support from the rank and file, but Sofakul didn't know whether that would translate to board support. When the board voted to hold the elections of officers in the open rather than an executive session, as the agenda stated, Houchul says she was encouraged, but admitted that reformers were taken aback a bit when Bob Barr was selected as the NRA's next president over reform candidate Owen Buzz Mills. We went into lunch going, okay, if that's the case, then where are the change candidates? Where are the reform candidates? What's going to happen next? What happened next was that reform candidates won elections for first vice president, second vice president, and executive vice president. So why did the board members split their votes? Houchul believes that some board members felt that Barr, as a former congressman, had the chops to be in the fight and was from a familiar face as the NRA heads into the upcoming civil lawsuit against the organization brought by the New York Attorney General, Tish James. Fat Tish. Hi, Fat Tish. I hope you're listening. You're fat. Wallace largely concurred with Houchul's take. In his view, a majority of the board wanted to strike a balance between change and consistency in leadership, believing that will best position the organization to avoid having a special monitor appointed to oversee the NRA's operations when the trial wraps up. Yeah, I can imagine what that monitor is going to do, especially if they are appointed by New York State. How's that going to end up, right? Fat Tish? Yeah, I don't like the look of that. Not a fan. 1 out of 5 stars. Would not recommend. How about you? Anyway, even the reformers have adopted the position to some degree by nominating Doug Hamlin, NRA's head of publications, to serve as executive vice president. Hamlin is hardly an outsider, but Wallace says he believes Hamlin's the right person for the job. Hamlin's been getting... Anti-gunners have been going after Hamlin for whatever reason, saying he's evil. He's evil. The man published magazines. He really didn't do much in the way of litigation. He published magazines. He talked about the stories. Yeah. I know some people will look at that and go, well, he was a part of the Wayne cabal. Doug is one of the most professional people I've ever dealt with, especially in this world, and has saved the NRA millions of dollars over the years. One of the reasons we could convince people, and nothing against Ronnie Barrett, the nominating committee's choice for EVP. I love him, and it was almost a no-lose situation because between the two of them, but Doug knew the staff. He knew everybody involved, already had a plan in place, and was ready to rock that night. There was no lag time. Boom. He was in, and he was off and running. I like that. He was ready. He was prepared. He was set to go. Hamlin wasn't the only one with a plan going into the board meeting. Wallace says he and several other board members have been talking amongst themselves for several months about Monday's board meeting, both to strategize and also to kick around some of the facts they were learning from the trial, where the misspending on the part of the NRA executives like Wayne LaPierre were fully revealed. We really decided that the NRA, well, let me stop there real fast. I think we should thank Fat Tish. We should thank Fat Tish for exposing some of this stuff that helped us get these people that were holding the NRA back, getting them out. Thank you. The only bit of good she's ever done for the Second Amendment, because she's fat and stupid. Yes, I'm going to call her fat and stupid because I don't like her. We really decided that the NRA needed a breath of fresh air. We didn't like the way things were going. And I actually used the analogy many times, even when talking to leadership. 1,000,000 years ago, when the warriors would leave the village to fight the enemy, they were victorious, but they'd return home and the village was burned to the ground. It was my belief that the laser beam focus on the trial meant that pretty much everything else was being ignored, and that can't happen. So a group of us got together, decided we weren't going to try to pull something swift or break the rules. We were going to do everything above board, and we worked extraordinarily hard for 3 months. By the time we got to the annual meeting, we had a plan in place. Again, it wasn't a coup or an overthrow or angry. In fact, as much as people don't like Charles Cotton, I will hand it to him. He ran that meeting with the utmost professional. Meeting. What? The board meeting. Not such the meeting of members, but at the board meeting. Good going, Charlie. So we had slates of officers, and we announced our plan more or less to the board that weekend. I've got to say, we were pretty darn successful. Okay, sounding positive to me. So what happens next? Both Wallace and Suffolk noted that the second NRA trial is looming in New York, and much of the NRA's future depends on the outcome. They both agreed, however, that this year's annual meeting is a turning point for the organization's leadership, and now it's time to demonstrate that the new emphasis on transparency and accountability isn't a gimmick or rebranding effort, but a new chapter for the 153-year-old organization. I spoke with Suffolk and Wallace for almost an hour, so this barely scratches the surface of our discussions, but be sure to check out the entire conversation in the video window below, and stay tuned for more coverage of the NRA's next chapter. We'll be speaking with more of the board members in the days ahead, and hoping to speak with Barr and Hamlin in the near future as well. All right, so make sure you check out Cam's latest show where he talks about this. I'm going to probably watch it later. I didn't get a chance to, but needless to say, everything sounds okay right now. It sounds like they're off to a good start to help reform things. Now, how long will it take? Will it actually work? Is it going to bring back members? Those are all up in the air, and the only way we're going to know is just by waiting. So all we can do is wait, see what happens. Go from there. In the meantime, we shall keep an eye on you, yeah? Yeah, we'll keep an eye on them. All right, heading down to Texas, the Lone Star State, since we were talking about that in the last article in regards to the NRA's, somebody proposing they move the headquarters. Anti-gunner has a problem with the First Amendment, too. Ooh, well, it's not a far stretch. You have a problem with one constitutional amendment. Why not another? Why not all of them? The National Rifle Association is predicting that about 75,000 attendees for its annual meeting, which kicks off today in Dallas, Texas. So obviously this is one of those older articles, what I was going to talk about back on Monday. While I won't be at this year's gathering, based on my past experiences, I'm confident that many of the NRA members will be wandering the aisles, attending the members' meeting, taking in the speeches by Donald Trump and Greg Abbott, voting for the 76th board member, and enjoying all there is to see and do, will be accompanied by their sons and daughters. The NRA annual meeting have always been a family-friendly affair, and I don't think this year will be any different. But guess who's got a problem with that? You knew they would. NRA Deputy Director Jennifer Bierman says adults and kids of all ages are welcome to attend the free event. It's a large gathering, 75,000 people, which is an enormous turnout, so you can feel the energy building, she said. However, for Miriam Sharma, who is a member of the Dallas chapter of Moms Demand Action, a commie mommy, she says she's concerned about kids being able to attend the event. Why, pray tell, Miriam? It is interesting that the city of Dallas is allowing them to come in and obviously advertise openly that children are welcome to come to the event when we know that firearms are the leading cause of death in children and teens, she told CBS News Texas. So she lied. She lied. We know all this. We know what she's doing. She lied about that stat. They always lie about that stat. They never tell the full truth. And that pisses me off. I'm well aware of Sharma's hostility towards the Second Amendment, but I didn't realize she was so opposed to the First Amendment as well. Does she honestly believe that the city government in Dallas would bar minors from entering the annual meetings without being sued into compliance for violating the freedom of association of NRA members? Oh, no. Oh, no. My colleague, Tom Knighton, has repeatedly pointed out the fuzzy math that's used to come up with the finding that firearms are the leading cause of death in children and teens. Even the Washington Post says it's inaccurate to claim that guns are the leading cause of death for children, which is why anti-gun activists like Sharma toss in "and teens," quote unquote, which encompasses those who are adults and can legally purchase and possess firearms. They also forget to mention the biggest demographic, I shouldn't say the age group that this is happening to. The majority age group. It's the late teen kids, 14, 15, 16. Just about the time they're being recruited into gangs. Yeah. They always forget to mention that one too. They also always seem to forget to add the newborn to 1, even though those are, they want to encompass children, but they don't want to because then it throws the numbers off on them. Yeah, go figure, you know? Article goes on by saying, by including 18 and 19-year-olds, excluding infants under age 1, and comparing firearm deaths with only vehicle crashes, Johns Hopkins reports that in 2021, there were 4,733 firearm deaths of children and teens compared to 4,048 deaths from motor vehicle crashes. But by counting only children 17 and under, including infants under the age of 1, and comparing all motor vehicle deaths, the CDC data shows that in 2021, there were 2,590 firearm deaths of children compared with 2,687 motor vehicle deaths, excluding infants under 1 from the data. Narrows the gap to a near tie, 2,580 deaths from motor vehicles compared with 2,571 from firearms. If one focuses just on vehicle crashes, as Johns Hopkins does, then starting in 2020, firearm deaths exceeded motor vehicle deaths of children ages 1 to 17. So, yeah. I would love to see it if they considered abortion murder and then added those numbers in. Oh, boy. Oh, boy. Love to see that. Where moms demand action protesting outside the Kay Bailey Hutchinson Convention Center back in February when the North Texas Auto Expo was held? Of course not. No, of course not. They're intent on destroying the right to keep and bear arms, not the ability to buy a fast car. And they know that one way to do that is to target the next generation, filling their tiny heads with anti-2A talking points and doing everything in their power to keep them from learning about our fundamental civil liberties and the importance of protecting them. Well, I'm working to make sure Kid Otter doesn't fall into that category. Because, and speaking of it, thinking about it, yeah, I gotta go get her birthday present out of the back of my car. I got it hidden away. I gotta go get that BB gun. So, thankfully, with Sharma's contempt for the Bill of Rights, may have gotten her a few seconds on the evening news, it won't stop NRA members from bringing their kids with them to the annual meetings this weekend. Her comments are still an important reminder for Second Amendment supporters. However, they don't just want us disarmed, they want us silenced as well. Hey, dear Sarge, thanks for joining us. Thank you, Master Sergeant. Appreciate it. Working. Oh, okay. Working and lurking. Good deal, sir. Good deal. I'll do my best to keep you informed and hopefully entertained with some of my stupid jokes or wild takes. But enjoyed your last stream too. If you get the chance, go check out Dear Sarge's channel here on Rumble. If you go to the show notes of this show, down in the comments, show notes, you will see a link to his channel here on Rumble. Go check out Dear Sarge. Good man. Great show. Let's see. Hack of Mexican gun database shows impact of ATF scandalous operation Fast and Furious. Now, this is the first I've heard about a hack, quote unquote, a hack. I'm usually kind of up on these kind of things, but maybe I could have missed this. I totally could have missed this. But let's see what Cam Edwards has for us. Hackers have released reams of information gathered by the Mexican military on suspected straw purchases and firearms recovered in Mexico, and the data reveals just how damaging the ATF's botched gun walking operation known as Fast and Furious really was. We already know that the ATF allowed more than 1,000 firearms across the U.S.-Mexico border, but the leak reveals that some of the most prolific suspected straw buyers in recent years were operating under the watchful eye of the agency. Sarge says, weekday evenings are when we make our honest money. Oh, yes, definitely. I have the day job, too. I got the day job, too, and I get where you're coming from, Sarge. As part of the leak, emails relaying U.S. government data between Mexican military leaders and PowerPoint presentations by Mexico's Attorney General show which American straw buyers were tied to the most weapons as of 2022. Among them is Texas Craig Adlong, He pleaded guilty in 2020 for lying on firearm transaction forms, saying the guns were for his personal use. He purchased 95 semi-automatic rifles at Guns Unlimited in Katy, Texas, making 7 visits over 2 months. 66 of those firearms were recovered in Mexico, according to the leak. So is this going to be a case of like with some of these crazy people that go out and shoot? They're known to law enforcement, but they don't do anything about it. I mean, seriously. And that whole Fast and Furious thing, what was that all about? I mean, if that wasn't a government operation, I don't know what was. Seriously. Reached by phone, Adlong told USA Today he was surprised he remained on Mexican officials' radar. After serving a 6-month prison sentence, he made a mistake, he said, that he has put behind him. Asked if he worries about acts of violence being committed with guns tied to his name, he said, absolutely, you'd have to be an animal not to. Of the other 6 top purchasers, half are linked to the Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, and Firearms and Explosives scandal known as Fast and Furious. Yeah. I mean, the ATF, that agency, that just, oh boy. Retired ATF Assistant Deputy Director Pete Friselli, who recently wrote a powerful memoir about his time in the Phoenix ATF office and helping to blow the whistle on Operation Fast and Furious, told USA Today's Nick Penstadler that the leak data appalls him. The leaked data appalls him. Well, I mean, this is a stain we all wear. We had a duty to stop the flow of guns, and we're failing. Forcelli said, it's no surprise that guns purchased more than a decade ago in Tucson, Arizona, continue to show up in gun battles in Mexico. They're not like apples or loaves of bread. Guns will be around until they get recovered at a crime scene used by the cartels. Does anybody else remember? Maybe it was last summer, or it could have been the spring. Videos of cartel gunfights coming out, and they're using automatic weapons. Now, are they converting those weapons, or are they actually getting automatic weapons? I've seen a report that Ecuadorian and Honduras military stock has been found in cartels' possessions. They're walking around with American missiles. We've seen American missiles, the kind that we sold to Ukraine. How'd that get there? There's so much stuff going on that we probably don't know about. Honestly, there's got to be so much stuff that we don't know about that's going on. Remember, today's conspiracy theory is tomorrow's news story and fact. Let's see. Where'd we leave off? Oh, yes. Mexican officials like Alejandro Celerio, who's deeply involved in the Mexican government's $10 billion lawsuit against multiple gun makers, claim the data buttresses their case that the firearms industry is knowingly arming cartels. But if anything, it shows that Mexico should be suing the ATF and DOJ instead of companies like Smith & Wesson. That's true. They're not selling directly to these cartels. They're selling to their regular outlets and distributors who then put them out there for wholesale or whatever. However, guns are sold legally to retailers, FFLs and that. I don't know if it's any different than, what TSR did for D&D books. I mean, come on. The hacked material identifies a series of straw purchasers who caught the attention of Mexican officials as behind a high volume of traces. Top purchasers identified by Mexico in the documents is Uriel Pantino, who served a 70-month prison sentence after taking a plea deal in 2014. Pantino was notorious for being the top straw purchaser in the Fast and Furious debacle, purchasing 700 guns under ATF's watch. 700. Whiskey Tango Foxtrot. CBS reported that 2 AK-style Romanian-made U.S. Sold Wazer 10 rifles. Is it Wazer or Wazer? Purchased by Patino ended up at a crime scene in Kendall Khan in 2013. Two other purchasers, Sean Christopher Stewart and Carlos Armando Celaya, both prosecuted in the Fast and Furious operation, also appeared in the data. Mexican State Police cracked open 4 refrigerators imported from the U.S. on June 17, 2020. Inside, they discovered 54 firearms. American prosecutors said 33 of those were traced back to Michael Mummert of Texas, who was sentenced to 3 years in prison. Later today, Tom Knighton will have a deep dive into the types of firearms that are being recovered south of the border, which also cuts against Mexico's claims that the firearms industry is knowingly aiding and abetting the drug cartels. There are some bad actors operating at gun stores. Yep. And when they break the law, they get prosecuted. But as Forcelli has told me, the vast majority of FFLs serve as additional eyes and ears for the ATF, alerting agents when suspected straw buyers come into their stores and helping to prosecute offenders. At least that was fairly common before Operation Fast and Furious, when the ATF tried to pin some of the blame for the gun walking scandal on the gun stores that had been instructed to let suspicious sales proceed. So the government comes up with this bright idea to let all these guns go so they can track them, find them, and catch the cartels red-handed. What happens? They lose track of them. They get egg on their face. We got to have a scapegoat. The FFLs. All the while, the FFLs have been trying to be good citizens, letting law enforcement know about straw purchases or shady people or all that kind of stuff, being those extra eyes and ears on the front line. And then along comes Joe Biden and decides, zero tolerance. We can get rid of the guns that way. We just take away the FFLs and they can't get guns. Yeah. So they're basically cutting off their own nose to spite their face. The same people that they've had keeping eyes out, keeping their ears open, letting them know about these bad guys that are coming in and buying guns and saying, hey, I got this guy here who keeps coming in. You may want to check him out. He's looking kind of shady here. Yeah, that's what they're doing, basically. They're definitely spiting themselves. But then again, remember, this is a government operation, right? Right? The impact of Operation Fast and Furious is still being felt across Mexico, but none of the ATF officials who came up with the scheme have ever faced real punishment or consequences for their actions. Mexico and the gun control groups that are aiding its lawsuit aren't interested in sanctioning the agency or any of its employees. Their goal is to destroy the U.S. firearms industry, not hold the ATF responsible for its actions. But the data clearly shows just how much damage Operation Fast and Furious has done and how helpful it was to the drug cartels in Mexico. Mexico has, let's be honest here. As long as I've been alive and I've been paying attention to what's been going on south of the border, and I don't mean the one in South Carolina, Mexico has done two things when it comes to the cartels: jack and shit. That's it. Mexico can't seem to, they can't seem to find their butthole with a map and a flashlight. And a pretty good flashlight too. It's bright, so they can't miss it. But they still can't seem to get to where they need to be. And they're just, what do you expect from a country that has such strict gun control that there's only one gun store in the entire country and they still can't stop the flow of illegal arms coming in? Seriously. If it wasn't a government operation, you'd be, what else would you do? Really. Unfolding Joker is asking, Buddy just asked if it's true that the UN is quietly deploying around the United States. Zero clue. But I do know that Wrangler Star over on YouTube has a nice video about the capability of armed UN soldiers, like what type of ballistic helmets they wear and ballistic armor and that. So last I knew, it was level 3 stuff. So act accordingly, I guess. There's that. But needless to say, if the UN was doing that, once they hit down south or Appalachia, if they get into Appalachia, the war will be over there. The war will be over there. Beer cans, shotgun shells, and the war is over. The rednecks, the redneck militia will win it for us. That's that. Let's think about that one. So, but what do you think about Mexico here? The hack of the database, ATF's lingering problems with Fast and Furious still in there. I mean, how much more will it take to show that the ATF needs to at least, at the absolute minimum, needs to be torn apart and rebuilt? It is just bad. I mean, Ruby Ridge. I mean, Waco, Fast and Furious. How many others are there? Seriously, how many others? Let me know in chat, or put it in the comments for the video. I'd love to know. How many more are there? What is going on? Seriously, what is going on? The ATF is pretty much, I think they're just pretty much a lost cause nowadays. They're pretty much a lost cause. But hey, I'm still just an otter, you know. We're all gonna have to we're all just gonna have to vote on this one. That's basically it. So last story real quick. I wanna do a little salacious here. How porn websites age verification laws are going to hurt the Second Amendment. I saw this and I was like, wait a minute. Let me think. I mean, Utah is one of those states that does that, but how is that going to work? Let's see what Rajan says here. Pornography is a part of life. I wish it wasn't. All right. Smut has existed as long as the written word and art have existed. It's not a modern internet invention, and children, especially teenagers coming of age, are naturally curious about it and seek it out. Yeah. But we really should kind of nip that in the bud in the home. Seriously. You know? Show these kids just what kind of damage porn does. Just about every adult, especially male, has some story of accessing adult-themed and sexually explicit material as a child, whether by rummaging through an older brother's collection or stumbling upon your father's secret stash. It's almost a rite of passage for most people. It is common sense to limit access to pornography to young children. It's also common sense to accept that older teenagers will get exposed to it one way or another. Yeah, middle school, high school, grade school. Yeah, we know where that's going, right? Yeah. That's BS too. Outside the scope of my show, but we all get. However, the methods used to limit access to pornography are very important in a free society. Using a heavy-handed approach, in a sense, is reminiscent of the Afghan Taliban's Ministry for the Propagation of Virtue and Prevention of Vice. The past decade or so has seen a big growth in the market for parental control software. There's a lot of software that is free and good enough. If your family uses the Apple ecosystem, it's straightforward to configure and connect family iCloud accounts and turn on pre-configured screen time limits on everything from explicit lyrics to adult websites to the number of hours a child can spend on a device. I will give Apple that. I will give them that in spades, if anything. Say what you will about their business practices, their corporate culture, which I experienced for a full 13 years, and so glad I got out of that. But one thing I can honestly say about Apple is they have been very hard when it comes to this kind of stuff, as well as trying is the operative word, trying to protect privacy, because you can't do it completely. It's impossible. You literally would have to throw away your phone completely, not use it. And honestly, there's days where I want to chuck my iPhone, but I know I can't because I need it for work and other things. It's stupid. But I think one thing I'm going to start doing is I don't know. I was thinking about maybe just not having it in my bedroom anymore, just getting rid of it, all that kind of stuff. But usually after 9 p.m., I usually don't use it. So, because I'm busy doing my show. But I have to say, when it comes to pornography in this, and I know I'm getting kind of out of the way of the Second Amendment, but I'll swing back into this. I honestly say that we should be encouraging parents to be teaching about this stuff in the home, to stop this kind of thing right at, nip it in the bud, as Barney Fife would say. That's, I think, where it's got to begin. However you want to deal with it. For me, I think for us, my family is just, we go to church every Sunday. I stopped going to church for the longest time, but then again, I was a single dad at the time, so I really didn't have a lot of time. But I'm glad that Mrs. Otter got me to go back to church with her. Seriously, I'm very happy with that, and I think that's going to help Kid Otter, and I think it can help a lot of other kids too, keeping them away from this kind of stuff. So let's keep going here. The past decade or so has seen a big growth in the market for parental control software, Apple ecosystem, blah, 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 blah. Even your home wireless router likely has parental controls built into it. Mine actually does, yeah, in it to limit access to adult websites and to block your children's Wi-Fi connection when they're supposed to be in bed. In this backdrop of plentiful market choices, the push for age verification laws is misguided and frankly dumb. What do these age verification laws look like? Take a look at Texas's law, which is being litigated in the federal judiciary as an example. Texas law requiring pornographic websites to verify the age of their users will remain after the Supreme Court declined an emergency appeal. Here's what the court said about House Bill 1181 and what happens next. Passed in 2023, requiring porn sites to verify the age of users with a governmental issued ID or reasonable alternative. The bill was written by Plano Republican State Representative Matt Shaheen. The bill prevents minors from accessing sites and comes with a $10,000 a day fine for violators and a $250,000 if a child is exposed to pornographic content due to not properly verifying a user's age. Public policy always comes with trade-offs, and the well-intentioned effort to limit children's access to pornography or social media in Tennessee, there you go. Social media is pretty close. I think that's a close second. Has the potential to backfire in an unexpected area, the Second Amendment, themed and firearms-related websites. Just go to any firearms website, say Ruger.com or PalmettoStateArmory.com, and you are splashed with a screen that asks you to confirm that you are at least 18 years old. There's no age verification process that entails uploading a government-issued ID simply to surf what's out there. What if California or New York pull a monkey see, monkey do stunt and pass similar legislation for firearm websites? In some ways, this is nothing new. California has already been banning marketing guns to minors with its stupid AB 2571 law that resulted in 2 lawsuits, namely Safari Club International v. Bonta and Junior Sports Magazine Inc. v. Bonta. But bad can get worse. California can still follow and extend Texas's example and do the same with Second Amendment themed and firearms related websites. This will result in a big drop in internet traffic to those websites and will chill speech, period. Although anti-gun prudes and Puritans will disagree, there's absolutely nothing wrong with a child accessing firearm websites to learn what's out there, or watching videos of gun tubers to learn safety, or reading Second Amendment related news and columns, or listening to otters talk about the Second Amendment news and give commentary like me. So what do you think? I could definitely see New York and California doing something totally stupid like this. Remember, I live in New York. New Yorkistan. Greetings, comrade. I am Comrade Otter from New Yorkistan. Greetings. Yeah, that's where we're kind of at. So what do you think, though? Let me know in the comments, or if you're in chat, sound off. Let me know what you think about that kind of thing. I can see where it's going, but I think what we have right now on a lot of those sites works good. Because I really think this should be more in the home kind of thing. This should be parents talking to their kids, teaching them, moral values. Pornography is not good. It doesn't do anybody any good, honestly. So that's kind of where I sit. I think it should stay like it is in regards to the simple age verification there. They shouldn't have to upload your state ID, because then you're starting to get into, you're starting to, you get really close to that line when it comes to the First Amendment. I get it. You can say, the kind of stuff, but doesn't mean I have to support it. Doesn't mean I have to propagate it, because I won't. Dear Sarge says, when guns were unrestricted and shit was hard to get, our country was way better off. Yes, I agree. I was born in 1971. I grew up tail end of Vietnam. I remember watching the news as a little kid, watching Carter deal with the Iran hostage situation, 444 days. I remember watching that on the news. And right after the news was Merv Griffin. And then right after Merv Griffin was Star Trek, the original series. And then that's when I went to bed, right after Star Trek was done. But still, there was no background checks. You didn't hear about school shootings back then. This is, and Costas Moros has talked about this many times. He's brought up this. Many people have brought this up. This is a cultural issue. There's a mental health component to it as well. I think that's part of the cultural part of it. It stems from the cultural aspect of it, the mental health issue. We've stigmatized that kind of stuff. We don't help the people that need help. A couple episodes back, I talked about a gentleman who voluntarily got mental help and then found himself on the prohibited list when he goes to buy a firearm when he gets his NIC check. Yeah. Sarge says, I was born in 1970, so similar experiences. Yeah, I'm betting we were both we're both Gen X, Sarge. So I'm guessing we both rode our Huffies over makeshift ramps and drank from the hose, raised on hose water and neglect. I'd say about a good 2/3 of my graduating class joined the military. Yeah. That was pretty crazy too. A lot of my friends from school joined the military. My friend group, we weren't really we really weren't into that part of it. I almost joined the National Guard though. I almost did join the National Guard. But come to find out, I was not desirable for medical reasons. So there goes that. Although I would have loved to join the Air Force. Because I love flying. And that's what I would have loved to have done in the Air Force. But unfortunately, problems upon problems upon problems. And here I am talking to you guys. So, but I'm still having fun. I really don't regret it that much. But let me know what you think in the comments, in the show comments. Let me know what you think about this whole ID and how it might affect our 2A rights, especially when it goes to websites like Palmetto Armory, Gun Broker, Guns and Ammo, or even going to bearingarms.com, because there's lots of pictures of guns there. They talk about guns, all that kind of stuff. And not to mention the fact that, have you noticed how laws in one country just affect everything else online? Like the whole European thing with the cookies. Now we're all seeing the things pop up about cookies. So take that into consideration as well. Something else to think about. So what do you think about the stories? Let me know. Houchul, is she delusional because she thinks, she's taking all the credit for what's going on in the country with crime and gun violence going down? Is she crazy? No, she's just being a politician. She's politicianing. New York Times still clinging to that whole adage that more guns means more crime, more death, even though the stats and everything show different. What do you think about that? Let me know in the show notes, comments below. How about the NRA? We talked about the NRA tonight. Reformers getting elected. What do you think about that? Were you an NRA member? Is what is going on right now? Is that enough to bring you back to being a member of the NRA? I used to be a member of the NRA, but I dropped it a long time ago. And like I said before, where have they been with all this other stuff? Even before Heller, back in 2008, where were they? What were they doing? Barely getting into the fight at all. What do you think? Let me know in the comments about that. And how about down in Texas? How about Shawarma, whatever her name is from Commie Mommies there? Shawarma? Is that her name? Shawarma? I'm going to call her Shawarma. I don't care. You know? Let me know what you think about her having a hissy fit about kids being able to go to the NRA membership meeting. Hell, I'd love to go to that someday. Hell, I'd love to go to SHOT Show someday. I'd love to do a show live from SHOT Show. That would be cool. Hey, if anybody knows somebody at SHOT Show, they want to give me a sponsorship so I can come out and do a show there, I would love that. But what do you think about all that going down? What about the porn age verification thing backfiring and hitting us in the butt with the Second Amendment? Tell me everything you think. I would love to know more of what you think. Sarge is glad that he left back New York State back in 1995. It's only getting worse. It is, Sarge. It is. I've been talking to my wife about trying to get the hell out of here. But her dad's already retired. Her mom's going to be retiring soon. They don't have any plans to leave yet, so I don't know. Oh, yeah. Sarge is going to move. Joker says Sarge is going to move to the frozen tundras of northern Idaho. Oh, man. Can you make us some snow cones? Just not the yellow ones. That's all I'm asking. I'll come out for a visit if you're making snow cones, just not the yellow snow cones. Those are Frank Zappa said don't eat those ones. All right, that's going to do it for me today. Hey, don't forget to stop by the merch store, OttermanEmpire.creator-spring.com. Check out the t-shirts, the stickers, the hoodies, the coffee mugs, the bags, all that good stuff. It's all going to help the channel grow. Okay? We could use your help. OttermanEmpire.creator-spring.com. Don't forget, like this video. Share the channel. Follow. And even do me the honor of becoming a subscriber for $5 a month. I would love that. Would help a whole lot. Check out the show notes. Got the Discord down there. You can join our 2A community. Be a voice in that lovely chorus. And make sure you leave me a comment about any one of the stories or what you think about the show in general. You hate it. You love it. You think I look better with a mohawk? Purple hair maybe? Okay, you may have to talk about Mrs. Otter about that one. I don't think that one's going to go over very well. But thanks for listening tonight. Thanks for being a part of the show. Appreciate it. Sarge, Joker, everybody else. Thank you so much for being a part of the Freedom Otter Show. In the meantime, keep your head on a swivel, my friends, and act accordingly. See ya.